Yechu spoke with frost in her voice, doubting Han Li's explanation. He claimed to have arrived after sensing the array's fluctuations. Yet to her mind, no secret art could bypass the many layers of restriction without triggering the defenses around the wood god basin. Since no alarm had been raised, she suspected he had entered alongside young Mistress Yesusu and concealed himself in the shadows from the very beginning. His motives hidden and unclear. Yeluo responded calmly that such thoughts were conjecture alone. Even if Han Li had infiltrated secretly, his actions showed no hostility toward the Azure Fox tribe. Had he harbored ill intent, he could have slain the three of them with ease, leaving the tribe utterly defenseless. Yechu fell silent for a moment, then said she would not pursue the matter further for now. Still, she declared that if Han Li ever revealed malice toward the tribe, she would oppose him, even at the cost of her own life. Yeluo gently patted her shoulder, saying no more. Having just expelled the frost poison from her body, Yeluo was urged to rest. Yechu took her leave, and Yeluo resumed her cultivation posture on the jade bed. The night passed quietly, without incident. At dawn, Yeluo and Yesusu visited Han Li's modest courtyard. Yechu did not accompany them, and Weeping Soul was absent as well. Cultivating within the Flower Branch domain, Yeluo apologized that Azure Fox City was remote and unsophisticated, lacking fine residences, and could only offer such a simple place. After a day of recovery, her complexion had clearly improved. Han Li smiled, saying he favored tranquility over luxury, and welcomed them inside. Yeluo told him to ask freely if he needed anything. Taking the opportunity, Han Li produced a jade slip listing spirit plants he wished to acquire from the tribe. Along his journey, he had been gathering materials to refine a high-zenith pill known as the cerulean pill. His wealth was vast, and most ingredients had already been secured through trades using his Reincarnation Palace mask. By chance, the remaining items were all found in Azure Fox City. Though Yeluo knew of Yesusu's promise, her expression still shifted upon seeing the list. Han Li assured her he had no intention of taking the plants without compensation, placing a storage tool on the table. Upon inspecting its contents, Yeluo felt both delight and embarrassment. She admitted that under other circumstances, she would have gifted the plants freely in gratitude for what he had done. But the tribe's recent financial strain forced her to accept payment. Han Li waved this off, saying fair exchange was only proper. Yeluo instructed Yesusu to gather the items at once. Once the matter was settled, she cautiously asked Han Li why he had come to Azure Fox City. He answered plainly that he bore no ill will and simply wished to cultivate in a safe, peaceful place. Hearing this, Yeluo was startled, but Han Li added frankly that the tribe possessed nothing else of interest to him. Observing his calm demeanor, Yeluo discerned no falsehood and felt her heart lighten. She welcomed him to remain as long as he wished. Han Li then requested that his presence be kept secret, a measure that would benefit both sides. After brief hesitation, Yeluo agreed. With mutual intentions clarified, the atmosphere eased, and they spoke casually of the Golden Origin mountain range. Han Li remarked that few native demonic tribes dwelled there, and that the Azure Fox tribe's wood-aligned and illusory arts seemed out of place. Yeluo confirmed that her people had migrated long ago from elsewhere, possibly the southern regions of the Golden Origin continent. Though records were uncertain, Han Li explained that he had once encountered another fox tribe bearing the Lu surname and sensed similarities. Yeluo's eyes brightened as she recalled an ancestral figure, Lu Mei, who had joined the tribe after their settlement and bestowed the spirit plant nurturing techniques. Yeluo and Yesusu were both her descendants, yet Lu Mei's past remained shrouded in mystery. Han Li admitted he did not know whether the other tribes shared such techniques, having had no deep contact with them. Though disappointed, Yeluo pressed him for more details. Han Li briefly recounted his encounter in the primordial land, omitting sensitive matters. Yeluo fell into thoughtful silence. At that moment, Yesusu returned and handed Han Li the storage tool containing all the requested spirit plants. After a quick inspection, Han Li nodded in satisfaction. Yeluo thanked him for his time and departed with Yesusu. Once alone, Han Li stood quietly, then summoned Weeping Soul, asking whether Yeluo had spoken truthfully. Emerging from a door of light, Weeping Soul replied that Yeluo's soul was pure and steady, showing no signs of deceit. Pleased, Hanli acknowledged this, noting that Weeping Soul's strengthened law abilities now allowed her to read soul fluctuations with ease. Weeping Soul then asked if the fox tribe Hanli mentioned was the Heavenly Fox tribe, where Liu Lair resided. Hanli confirmed this and mused that Fox 3 carried the Heavenly Fox bloodline, which closely resembled that of Ye Luo and Ye Susu. Coupled with the legacy of Liu Mei, it strongly suggested a connection between the two tribes. Weeping Soul guessed that Hanli intended to remain partly to protect the Azure Fox tribe, out of gratitude for the Heavenly Fox tribe's past aid. Hanli admitted this was one reason, though only temporarily. He planned to leave behind means for their self-protection before departing. For now, however, he intended to enter immediate seclusion. A sense of impending danger weighed on him, urging him to prepare without delay. Weeping Soul's expression shifted faintly upon hearing this. After a brief pause, she said softly, "Your instincts have always been sharp. It seems I must also enter seclusion. Though I may not be able to advance further, at the very least I must recover to my former peak." Hanli did not linger on words. He immediately began laying down restrictions around the courtyard, one layer after another, meticulous and precise. Afterward, he reinforced the interior of the courtyard, then carefully sealed both his own room and Weeping Soul's chamber. Only after confirming that every safeguard was complete did the two part ways, each entering seclusion within their respective rooms. Hanli stepped into the secret chamber hidden inside his room and sat down cross-legged. He meditated for half a day, calming his breath and spirit until his condition reached absolute clarity. Only then did he flip his palm, summoning his silver cauldron. With a sweep of his sleeve, azure light poured out and spread across the ground, manifesting all the medicinal ingredients needed to refine cerulean pills. He opened his mouth and released an essence fire raven, which transformed into a silver flame beneath the cauldron. One by one, he began casting the ingredients inside, his movements smooth and unhurried as pill refinement commenced. At the same time, Ye Luo, Ye Chu, and Ye Susu were gathered inside a conference hall within Azure Fox City. "Chief, are you truly going to let that human cultivator reside in our city?" Ye Chu asked with deeply furrowed brows. "We know nothing of his origins, and he is human. Most of our clansmen harbor hatred toward humans. Allowing him to stay will surely stir resentment." "Elder Chu, rest assured," Ye Luo replied calmly. "Fellow Taoist Han is only here to cultivate in seclusion. He will not roam about, and he has asked that his presence remain secret. We can simply announce that he has already left Azure Fox City." "But he is still human, and an exceptionally powerful one," Ye Chu pressed. "Keeping him here is like letting a blade hang over our heads." "He has aided us greatly," Ye Luo said firmly. "All he asks for is a place to cultivate in peace. To refuse such a request would be petty." Ye Susu also spoke up. "I don't think Senior Han or fellow Taoist Weeping Soul are bad people. Besides, our Azure Fox tribe has faced danger again and again in recent years. Having a powerful ally like him could be crucial." Ye Chu fell silent for a moment, then sighed. "Very well, I will agree, but his background remains unclear. We should secretly assign people to observe him." "I'll leave that to you, Elder Chu," Ye Luo nodded. "But remember, fellow Taoist Han is skilled in detection techniques. Be extremely careful." "You can count on me," Ye Chu replied, then departed swiftly. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. Hanli remained seated within his secret chamber. At his command, the lid of the silver cauldron rose into the air. 5 blue pills flew out and landed neatly inside a jade vial. Each pill was longan-sized, sky blue in color, and exuded a rich medicinal fragrance. Dozens of jade vials were already arranged beside him, their combined aroma filling the chamber even through their seals. A rare look of satisfaction appeared on Hanli's face. These cerulean pills were the first high zenith stage pills he had refined. The early attempts had been difficult, but with the aid of his mantra treasured axis and his past experience, his success rate had steadily risen. He put away the cauldron and the essence fire raven, then tipped a cerulean pill from one vial and swallowed it. Brilliant golden light surged from his body, flooding the entire chamber with radiant glow. More than 100 years later, within the Golden Origin Immortal Palace, A white-robed middle-aged man sat upon a golden dragon throne. It was Palace Master Dongfang Bai. His gaze rested on a figure standing below, and though his face showed no anger, the person being watched felt immense pressure. The figure was a handsome youth clad in colorful robes, appearing no more than 14 or 15. Yet his eyes carried the weight of countless years. It was Tao Ji, now inhabiting a new body. Elder Tao, Dongfang Bai said coldly, I did not give you this body so you could idle away the years. Why has Han Li still not been found, even after more than a century? Tao Ji hurriedly explained that Han Li had vanished after leaving Heavenly Pine Temple, avoiding major cities and long-distance teleportation arrays. He insisted that Han Li must still be within the Golden Origin Immortal region and begged for more time. Dongfang Bai's eyes narrowed as he listened. Just as he was about to speak, a servant rushed in to announce visitors. Moments later, a thin gray-haired elder and a black-robed man carrying a fearsome blade entered the hall and bowed. The black-robed man reported that all traces of battle at Heavenly Pine Temple had been erased, but by harvesting residual soul fragments, he had reconstructed parts of the fight. Han Li, he revealed, was a formidable body refinement cultivator who had opened over 900 profound acupoints. No wonder the bipolar yin-yang array failed, Tao Ji muttered. Dongfang Bai's expression darkened as he berated Tao Ji for his incompetence. Further investigation revealed that Han Li possessed multiple true spirit bloodlines, Giant Mountain Ape, True Immortal, Kun Peng, and likely even that of the Lightning Bird. His physical strength rivaled that of a great encompassment profound immortal, and he wielded terrifying time attribute techniques capable of slowing enemies to a crawl. Dongfang Bai was deeply shaken. A human cultivator with such cultivation, bloodlines, and time law mastery should have been famed throughout the immortal region. Yet Han Li remained obscure. At that moment, the gray-haired elder finally looked up from his jade slips. With a respectful gesture, he stepped forward. Palace Master Dongfang, he said, I have uncovered some matters during my travels. These jade slips may help you better understand this Han Li. He presented the slips, and the air within the palace grew heavy with anticipation. Dongfang Bai's brows knit faintly as he swept his sleeve, releasing a surge of golden light that gathered all the jade slips and delivered them into his grasp. As his divine sense flowed through their contents, confusion surfaced on his face, deepening with each passing breath. When the last jade slip was set aside, his expression had turned grave. Are you certain, he asked coldly, that all of these records speak of the same person? I dispatched every spy under my command over the past century, Palace Master, Lu Yun replied solemnly. They may lack battle prowess, but their intelligence is reliable. The investigation began in the northern glacial immortal region, where Han Li first appeared while the Blaze Dragon Dao was hunting Bai Lian. At that time, he used the name Li Feiyu. That was when my son fell by his hand, Tao Ji said, pain flashing across his face. The Blaze Dragon Dao cultivates the Mantra Axis scripture, a time-aligned art, Dongfang Bai murmured. That must have been when he first touched the laws of time. Exactly. After that, Li Feiyu surfaced several more times, always fleetingly, as if deliberately erasing his trail. Later, another name appeared, Li Han. His traits match Han Li's closely. It is highly likely yet another alias. Dongfang Bai frowned deeply. According to this, he crossed the northern glacial, black mountain, black soil, and now the golden origin immortal regions within mere millennia. Worse still, nearly every major upheaval in those regions bears his shadow. How could such a thing be possible? Our findings suggest his involvement in the collapse of the Blaze Dragon Dao, the rise of the Infernal Frost Immortal Manor, and the reemergence of the True Mantra Sect ruins. Gongshu Tian and Gongshu's deaths also appear connected to him, Lu Yun reported. A chill crept into Dongfang Bai's gaze. After the True Mantra Sect ruins, where did he go? Why has he now appeared here? Please review this, Lu Yun said, offering another jade slip. This is Feng Qingshuai's Grey Realm report, Dongfang Bai said in surprise. Many who entered the True Mantra Sect ruins later appeared in the Grey Realm. Han Li likely did the same, then somehow passed into the Devil Realm before returning to the Immortal Realm. Silence fell. Dongfang Bai finally spoke. This man has ties to the Reincarnation Palace. crosses realms unharmed, and advances in cultivation at an alarming pace. What say you all? Such progress is impossible for a lone itinerant cultivator, He Dao said grimly. His links to the Reincarnation Palace and the Devil Race only confirm a powerful backing. If Han Li could hear this, he would be utterly speechless. These people had wandered far from the truth. Yet Tao Ji's heart sank, remorse surfacing unbidden. After a long pause, Dongfang Bai rose and paced slowly, brows locked tight. At last, he stopped and faced the trio. No matter his background, we must continue. That matter cannot be ignored. Once you find him, do not act rashly. Report to me first. And if conflict becomes unavoidable, Lu Yun asked, then strike him down if you must, capture him alive if possible. Once we learn where that thing is, we'll bring him to the Nine Origins Temple and decide his fate. Though hesitant, the trio agreed. Keep this secret, Dongfang Bai warned icily. If word reaches the Heavenly Court's envoys, the consequences will be catastrophic. After they left, Dongfang Bai continued pacing, unease gnawing at him. Han Li was unlike anyone he had encountered, entangled in countless great events, yet remaining obscure, even escaping Heavenly Court scrutiny. What they knew might be only the surface. In the Middle-earth immortal region, crimson clouds layered the sky of an unknown realm, heavy with the stench of blood. Ominous black structures dotted the land. Beneath the clouds stood a towering white archway, engraved with two vast characters, Immortal Prison. Nearby loomed a black palace, bells hanging from its roof corners, chiming without wind and releasing ripples of golden light that dispersed the bloody haze. Two towering black armored warriors guarded the sealed gates beneath a plaque reading Judgment Hall. Within, red pillars bore black metal tablets detailing punishments. Braziers burned with dark crimson flames. At the deepest point stood a black metal table before which a towering, flame-haired figure read a jade slip, Chi Mozi, traitorous disciple of Patriarch Miro. Setting the slip down, he sighed softly. To think you met such an hot flame. A fiery face rose from a brazier. He was always your favorite. I wished only to keep him away, Chi Mozi said heavily. Even Chi Rong entered the ruins for my sake. Who could have foreseen both dying in the Gray Realm? So what? The face sneered. They failed to obtain the great five elemental illusion mantra. Their deaths were meaningless. Not so, Chi Mozi countered. Before entering the Gray Realm, Chi Rong sent word of a most unusual man, the likely greatest beneficiary of the ruins. There's a strong chance he holds the complete mantra. Who is he? The fiery face demanded. Han Li, recently seen in the Golden Origin Immortal region. A low laugh followed. Then it's time I stretch my limbs, capture him for you, and you grant me freedom to ravage a chosen lower realm. A small price, wouldn't you say? Within the blazing palace of the Immortal Prison, Chi Mozi ignored the furious visage roaring from the brazier and continued his silent contemplation. With a casual reach of his hand, he plucked the fiery face from the flames, dragging forth a blazing humanoid figure along with it. As the figure emerged, fire condensed and shaped itself into a form identical to Chi Mozi's own. Flames surged over Chi Mozi's palm, and the aura of the fiery double expanded violently, rising until it nearly matched his true self. I will go personally this time. You remain behind and oversee the Immortal Prison, Chi Mozi said calmly. The fiery figure attempted to speak, but Chi Mozi cut him off before the words were fully formed. This is the Immortal Prison. No one will question anything. I'll only take one person and return swiftly. Confusion flickered across the fiery figure's face. If not even I am going, then who will accompany you? An old acquaintance, Chi Mozi replied with a faint, knowing smile. With that, he strode out of the palace. Flames instantly engulfed his body, and he shot through the void like a blazing meteor toward a golden region bordering the crimson clouds. 60 years passed as swiftly as drifting smoke. In Azure Fox City, a tranquil courtyard basked beneath the gentle morning sun. Light filtered through leafy branches, scattering broken shadows across the ground. Outside the courtyard, children laughed and ran along a narrow path, colorful paper windmills spinning in their hands. Within the courtyard, Weeping Soul sat quietly on a stone chair, her chin propped on one hand as she listened to the carefree laughter. Ever since gaining the ability to peer into the hearts of others, she had grown fond of children's voices, pure, untainted joy that never failed to soothe her spirit. At that moment, she turned as Han Li emerged from his room, his expression relaxed and buoyant. "You've come out of seclusion already, Master? Have you made a breakthrough?" she asked in surprise. "I have," Han Li replied with a smile. "With so many profound acupoints already opened, my cultivation of the great five elemental illusion mantra progressed smoothly." Advancing to the late high zenith stage was now merely a matter of time. Weeping Soul congratulated him warmly, then asked whether anything unusual had occurred during his seclusion. Han Lai learned that the Azure Fox tribe had remained peaceful, its chief fully recovered, morale restored, and even the Golden Horse sect kept at bay. Not even Weeping Soul herself had sensed Han Li's breakthrough. Han Lai explained that there had been little resistance this time, aided by seclusion within the Flower Branch domain and a concealment array at its entrance. However, he noted that his eventual late high zenith breakthrough would require a different location. Elsewhere in the city, stormy debate raged within the conference hall. Elder Yechu urgently warned that the human cultivator was suspicious, insisting the Immortal Palace would not fabricate accusations. Another elder echoed her concern, claiming humans were inherently cunning and dangerous. Silent elders nodded grimly in agreement. Yesusu protested fiercely, insisting Han Li's aura was righteous and tranquil, nothing like that of an evil cultivator. She reminded them that he had saved both her and her mother. Her words sowed hesitation, yet Yechu countered that deception was precisely a human strength, and that sheltering a wanted fugitive would doom the entire tribe if discovered. The hall filled with anxious voices, warnings of catastrophe, pleas for safety, and bitter acknowledgement of Han Li's kindness. When Yesusu cried out that repaying benevolence with ingratitude was shameful, silence fell, guilt weighing heavily on every face. A gentle voice then spoke. Yeluo, seated at the head of the hall, addressed them calmly. She acknowledged Han Li's past aid and declared that the tribe could not turn against a benefactor. However, she also stated that allowing a wanted fugitive of the Immortal Palace to remain would endanger both him and the tribe. For everyone's sake, Han Li could no longer stay in Azure Fox City. Though pained, Yesusu understood her mother's decision and reluctantly accepted it. The elders nodded in relief. Because Yesusu had brought Han Li to the city, Yeluo instructed her to speak with him. Despite Yechu's objections, Yeluo insisted that the entanglement of fate should be resolved by Yesusu herself. In the end, Yechu agreed to accompany her. Soon after, two streaks of light descended outside Han Li's courtyard. The children rushed toward Yesusu, but she gently sent them away before knocking on the door. Inside, Han Li and Weeping Soul were calmly sharing tea. Yesusu hesitated, her voice faltering, until Yeshu stepped forward protectively. Han Li, unperturbed, invited them to speak plainly. Yesusu explained that the Immortal Palace had declared Han Li a wanted fugitive, carefully avoiding any direct request for him to leave. Han Li laughed softly, amusement glinting in his eyes. He mused that perhaps he should feel honored that the Immortal Palace thought highly enough of him to invent such charges. Weeping Soul smiled wryly beside him. Relief flooded Yesusu's face, and she smiled brightly. "I knew you weren't that kind of person, Senior Han." Seeing the situation unfold, Yechu's brows knit together. In her heart, Yesusu was still too innocent, too trusting of Han Li. Since Yesusu had not driven him away herself, Yechu felt she had no choice but to intervene. Before she could speak, Han Li calmly took the initiative. With a solemn tone, he stated that the warrant for his capture had already reached Golden Rhinoceros City, and it was only a matter of time before the Azure Fox tribe was dragged into an investigation. If he continued to remain in Azure Fox City, it would only invite calamity upon the tribe. For that reason, he would pack up and depart immediately. Yechu was caught completely off guard by this response, her prepared words dying in her throat. Yesusu's face filled with guilt as she hesitated, expressing that she knew Han Li was a good person. Yet still, Han Li waved it off with an easy smile, telling her there was no need for guilt. He had already enjoyed a long and peaceful stay in Azure Fox City, and the time to leave had naturally arrived. He instructed Weeping Soul to pack their belongings so they could depart at once. Weeping Soul acknowledged and entered the room, leaving Han Li to dismantle the remaining restrictions he had set up. Yesusu bowed deeply, apologizing on behalf of the tribe. As a small and powerless clan, they could not afford to offend the Immortal Palace and had no choice but to ask him to leave. Though they swore to keep his presence a secret, Han Li immediately rejected this notion. Instead, he ordered them to go to Golden Rhinoceros City the following morning and report his stay to the Immortal Palace cultivators there, including the exact duration and every detail, without concealing anything. Yesusu was stunned, unable to believe what she was hearing. While Yechu's hostility slowly faded into understanding, Han Li clarified plainly that they were to report him. When Yesusu nervously suggested that perhaps they should mislead the Immortal Palace, Han Li shook his head. He told them to report that, after leaving Azure Fox City, he would continue northward into the depths of the Golden Origin mountain range. If they failed to do so accurately, disaster would fall upon the tribe. Seeing Yesusu's confusion, Yechu stepped in to explain. Whether they reported him or not, the Immortal Palace would eventually uncover the truth. By reporting proactively, they would appear cooperative. When investigators arrived, the Immortal Palace would only spare the Azure Fox tribe if they could provide precise and useful information. Han Li was doing this to shield them from blame. Only then did Yesusu fully grasp his intentions and fall silent. Yechu bowed deeply, ashamed of her earlier suspicions, praising Han Li as a noble man who not only saved their chief, but also placed the tribe's safety above his own. Han Li responded modestly, saying he was the one who should be grateful for the rare peace he had enjoyed in Azure Fox City. At that moment, Weeping Soul returned and nodded, signaling that everything was ready. As they stood on the brink of parting, tears welled in Yesusu's eyes as she asked whether they would meet again. Han Li replied gently that trouble followed him wherever he went, and it was better for them not to meet again. With those words, Han Li and Weeping Soul transformed into two streaks of light and vanished into the sky, leaving Yesusu gazing into the distance with quiet melancholy. Yechu comforted her, saying that if fate allowed it, they would meet again. Yesusu nodded, forcing a faint smile. The two streaks of light flew only a few thousand kilometers north before descending onto a mountain. Revealing themselves, Weeping Soul questioned whether they were stopping too close to Azure Fox City. Han Li explained that once the report was made, Immortal Palace investigators would search the surrounding area. If no trace of them was found nearby, suspicion would still fall on the Azure Fox tribe. Weeping Soul praised Han Li's thoughtfulness. Han Li reflected that although the Azure Fox tribe was small, its members were sincere and pure-hearted, unlike the fox beings he had encountered before. His thoughts drifted briefly to Liu Lair and how she might be faring in the primordial land. When Weeping Soul asked why he did not leave behind some protection for the tribe, Han Li sighed. As fugitives of the Immortal Palace, they could not afford to form close ties. Anything left behind could become a deadly link. He would return one day when he was no longer bound by such constraints. They lingered on the mountain until noon, after which Han Li summoned a green jade flying carriage and continued northward. 2 days later, dozens of massive golden battleships loomed over Azure Fox City, casting vast shadows across nearly half the city. Thousands of armored soldiers stood on their decks, filling the Azure Fox beings with dread. In a tranquil courtyard below, 8 or 9 figures gathered. A white-robed, middle-aged man sat at a stone table, gazing thoughtfully at a blooming flower. Behind him stood Tao Ji and He Dao. Tao Ji frowned and asked whether this was the courtyard where Han Li had stayed. The surrounding Azure Fox beings all nodded. Ye Luo stepped forward, bowing respectfully as she explained that Han Li had been cultivating in seclusion throughout his stay and had departed suddenly 2 days prior. They had only received news of the warrant from Golden Rhinoceros City the day before and reported it immediately. Ye Susu stood beside Ye Chu, lips pressed tightly together. Taoji turned his cold gaze on her, accusing her of bringing that scoundrel into the city. Though her heart trembled, Ye Susu answered calmly that Han Li had saved her life, and she never imagined he was a wanted fugitive. Taoji pressed further, questioning why they reported him a day late if he had left 2 days earlier, implying they were deliberately buying him time to escape. Ye Luo hastily bowed again, insisting that they truly learned of his status only the previous day and reported without delay. Yechu and the others followed suit in fear. While bowing, Yesusu felt only contempt in her heart. Compared to these arrogant Immortal Palace cultivators, Han Li, though cold on the surface, was far kinder and more considerate. Tao Ji sneered, declaring that if Elder Lu returned without finding traces of Han Li traveling northward, the Azure Fox tribe would be punished as accomplices. Anxiety spread among the tribe members, who feared that if Han Li had not truly gone north or left no tracks, disaster would be unavoidable. At that moment, Dongfang Bai fixed his gaze on Yesusu and questioned her sharply. If Han Li had saved her life, why did she report him? Was that not repaying kindness with ingratitude? Under his scrutiny, terror surged in Yesusu's heart, leaving her momentarily unable to speak. Just then, a gentle hand clasped hers, her mother's, steadying her resolve. Gathering herself, Yesusu answered that Han Li had already stayed in their city for over a century, and by unknowingly sheltering him, the tribe had already repaid his kindness many times over. To conceal him after learning he was a wanted fugitive would be open defiance of the Immortal Palace, something they would never dare to do. Dongfang Bai's expression remained unreadable as he continued to study her closely, searching for the slightest hint of falsehood.